Yeah, I think one of the great things about this award is that it's not just me that led to where I am today. This has been a group effort from the very start. I've been very fortunate to have great opportunities, but also work with great people, great mentors, and great kind of collaborators that have brought their energy, their interest, and their expertise to this. And these projects wouldn't be where they are today without that help.
One of those projects is Hope's Free Clinic. John led the way in treating Spanish-speaking patients. He established the pediatric wing of the clinic and says the clinic would not work without collaboration.
Yeah, so it's pretty hard not to collaborate. So even from the ground up, even if you're just coming in to see patients or work as a clinician, it's two students working together with the doctor to see the patient. And then from there up, everything we do is student run, so you have to work with other students to get help the patients and make this clinic run.
John was student leader for the Hope's Innovations team. He also spearheaded efforts to increase Revive trainings. 58 students, faculty, and community members were trained to help lead additional sessions to over 400 participants who are now better prepared to combat the opioid epidemic in Hampton Roads.
Yeah, so Revive's been a really cool program. It was started in North Carolina and taken over by the state of Virginia as one of the programs they wanted to use to respond to the opioid epidemic. And so the idea of the program is that it teaches community members about what an opioid overdose is, how to recognize the signs for it, and how to respond to it using a combination of CPR, Narcan, and when to call 911.
John has also worked in global health and traveled to Guatemala, Mexico, and the Dominican Republic. He was nominated for this award by two individuals, including fellow student Matthew Vandegraff.
I think John is a medical student who never forgets that one of the most important aspects of practicing medicine and being involved in medicine is being somebody who never stops caring about the patients you're taking care of, and he's shown just unending service and dedication to doing that.
Well, I'm a very big believer in social justice, and that there are a lot of things that need to be changed, and there are good ways to do it. And we have to put our heads together and problem solve as a team. Healthcare, I feel, is a right. It shouldn't just be for the rich and the famous. It should be for everyone. And if we really took care of everyone and everyone had good health care and was in fairly good health and we could screen, we would save millions of dollars because people wouldn't then spend so much money in the last days of their life.
Dr. Whitehurst Cooke has been helping people ever since she grew up in rural Virginia and wanted to be a physician. She volunteers annually with RAM, a remote area medical clinic in Wise, Virginia, and she created a similar program in Petersburg. She encourages students to choose primary care as a specialty.
Well, we have developed a program here called the Inner City Rural International Program. So it's about 25 students a year, a total of about 100, and they're geared to building their toolkits for taking care of underserved populations. So I think exposing them to the resources in the community that are going to be helpful. Medicine is a team sport. You're not out there practicing on your own.
Eileen Harris has worked with Dr. Whitehurst Cooke for many years.
Well, I was thrilled that the MSV has offered such an award because it gave me an opportunity to show to the world, this quiet storm. She makes a big impact, but quietly. She doesn't care about the accolades, but you won't learn that she's done this or accomplished, this activity or this effort or this certification until after the fact. And so it gave me the opportunity to just kind of share with the world who she is and what she's doing.
I think from the standpoint of how we should feel about each other, and that if people are in need, then it should be your responsibility to try to address that need. I think we are our brother's keeper. And if our brothers and sisters are better off, then we as a society are better off. And we need to start thinking like that and not just about what's good for me, but what's good for us.
We formally founded the Virginia Cardiac Surgery Quality Initiative in 1992, and we've been meeting quarterly, usually in Richmond or Charlottesville since it's central, since that time, in collecting a database that is unique in the world in that it combines cardiac surgery outcomes with the episode of care cost for each procedure. We now have over 125,000 patients that we can draw upon. And initially, we tried to figure out, well, what's just the cost of open heart surgery for bypass surgery and valves? And once we just found that, then what are then the cost of the complications? Because they almost double the care.
Dr. Eric Sarin is a colleague of Dr. Spears.
It helps the patients in ways that I think there's too many to quantify. I mean, in terms of the quality and making sure we're getting the best outcome every single time, and that we're sharing that. So it's not just a question of are we doing the best possible case for patients at Fairfax. It's if someone in Richmond or in Charlottesville or Lynchburg is doing it better, then we're getting that feedback. So then we're bringing it back, and we're sort of statewide ensuring that everybody's getting the best possible care. So it really is a benefit to all the cardiac surgical patients in the state of Virginia.
Dr. Spears says this program has been a team effort, and it's really all about the patients.
So we have to understand and get back to to care about the patients, we have to care about the patients and not care about the laws and about the insurers and about populations that shouldn't be treated, about the elderly that it's too expensive to take care of, about the whole immigration thing. And I think the one thing to take home is that when all the talk stops, what are we going to do about it? We're off the clock. We're not on call. We're not getting paid. Who's going to take care of those patients?
We're very fortunate living here to have all these wonderful things. And we sometimes don't realize how many great things we have until we go out to another place where all those things don't exist. So I think I've learned a lot about gratefulness and gratitude working in various parts of the world. And that also makes me aware that I want to be a global citizen, want to be engaged in helping where I can in the rest of the world.
Dr. Peter Buckley is the Dean of the VCU School of Medicine.
So delighted that Sudha received this distinguished award. She's a really spectacular colleague. She's had amazing training, and since she came to VCU in 2013, she has been an incredible role model for our residents and for our medical students. And quite simply, her work in Rwanda in establishing an emergency room service for the entire country is in itself remarkable.
In addition to being a busy trauma surgeon and her humanitarian work in Rwanda, she finds the time to encourage medical students to give back globally.
It's absolutely vital for students and residents and fellows, trainees, to be able to work and see other systems. It helps them learn about how fortunate we are and how complicated health care can be. And I think it teaches them some of the very same lessons I learned, gratitude, patience, cultural sensitivity, all of those things. Well, I think I just want to be the best person I can be every day. And these are the skills that I have been able to hone over the course of time. And I really want to make a difference, here or anywhere where I can.
So I was an engineering student as an undergraduate, and I had my first knee operation St. Patrick's Day of my senior year. And when I went back for my 6-week follow-up, the surgeon asked me if I'd ever thought about going to medical school, and I said no, and he said, you should, and here's why. And it turns out my grandfather was a surgeon. And he graduated from Georgetown in 1928. He did general practice for many years. During World War II, he went to Mayo for 2 years and learned surgery, and then he came back and practiced in Arlington. And this doctor looked at me and says, "I've known your grandfather, and I think you have it in your blood."
It was in his blood, and so was giving back to Virginia. Dr. Hazel served as the Commonwealth Secretary of Health and Human Resources for 2 administrations.
We saw Medicaid expansion this past year. It didn't happen on my watch, but I think we set the conditions that allowed it to happen. The Addiction and Recovery Treatment Services waiver that we set up in the Medicaid program, again, was the thinking of other people, but was able to help get the resources done in there to make it work. Our opioid response in Virginia, I think in terms of actual activity done, is right at the forefront of the nation. Not easy stuff, hard decisions to be made, but we were able to do that, and I got to play a part of it.
The reason that I nominated Dr. Bill Hazel for the Salute Service Award is his humble nature, the fact that he has this innate ability to get people together to accomplish difficult tasks. That is his true talent, and that led to his success both as Secretary of Health and Human Services for the Commonwealth of Virginia, as President of the Medical Society of Virginia, and now a Senior Advisor at George Mason University.
So why? I think it really is part of the family. We were always engaged in community activities. I can remember that being a kid. I think that I heard along the way the expression that from those to much has been given, much is expected.